you in watching this, because at the end of the program, my guest will give you some tidbits. I'll push them to do that on exactly what you should do as a Ghanaian who wants to procure some financial services, or if you're a consumer of financial services products we have in the country. Now, State of Affairs is brought to you by Cowbell Gold, and Cowbell Gold will be telling you more about those products as we move on. It's also brought to you by Go On Energy Drink. These are holding us down to ensure that every week we bring you the conversations that matter as far as the development of the country is concerned. I'll take a quick break here. When I come back, I'll bring you all the details of the conversation. Well, so the conversation tonight is microfinance institutions and other tiers of the financial industry, and the possible effect that these can have on the development of the country going forward. And so micro sector, we're putting that in perspective. And I've been joined in studio by Mr. Joe Jackson. He's the Chief Executive Officer of Dalex Finance. I'm sure most of you know him if you patronize the services of Dalex Finance. Well, sorry, he's a Chief Operations Officer, I should say. I was making you CEO. I'm sure your CEO would have shot me if I hadn't corrected that. But he'll help us understand exactly what has been happening, and we can box all the conversations together going forward. We'll also be speaking to GAMFIN, that's the Association for Financial Institutions, Microfinance Institutions, I should say, in the country. And clearly, the conversation we're having today borders on them. And so what have they been doing? What counsel do they have for the consumers of financial services? And what are the remediating factors going forward? And if they also have some tidbits for you for dealing with some specific institutions, you want to take cue from that. But before we get into the details of the conversation, we have been asking Ghanaians some questions, and the question typically has been the extent to which you're confident or you're comfortable in dealing with microfinance institutions. We're going to take that, and that will inform the conversation we'll be having in studio.
Straight to bank, me fidelity na ejuma. Into microfinance fund, me said and Mudisa. DKM ne ade amuni amanfo sika dwane seka akra amanfo bebie bi kra wa hasema amudi amanfo sika du won ye wura omodam ho kra bitu se omunyama nya na de koye.
With them, you are not really assured whether your money is secured with them, because we've had countless situations in the country where some of these microfinance companies collapse, and then you can't even find those who set up these companies, and then some of them also run away with their money. So for me, it's not really safe to save your money with them.
Sisi ya molekui ahe ya eduska koto banga one edekoto homa indilayo idu homa wabeje baike ya wasi network se network oye bredo si insisto yenyim ononka danchen idilis wobobro nti moso mo fa miska nkoto no minya hoden makoko nti miska de me be hye me kapatase mi hie bi ala ni meyi
minye bida because me ko save problem basisia hwan nche na moko ebu ai ko use ka bi assembly abofi me piska me na ye bi 10 na kwanwa meyi but miska hye me ho a assembly ba pe no na me dey na me dai disia me ko me anga sa de sanko fo ne pa je enti me dem se matutu fo na me de me lo kon kwa hye enti me kwa na me diska na hye enti ano de obi anwamia masem. Now
that's how dangerous a problem has gotten to the extent that people feel comfortable opening milk or tins to put their money and burying them in the ground. For a country that wants to move cashless, this is very dangerous. Mr. Joe Jackson, you heard the views of Ghanaians there. First of all, microfinance institutions, or if you like, the financial institutions that are not typically banks, what are their relevance in the economy?
Absolutely relevant. Absolutely relevant.
To what extent?
Remember that the banks are limited by where the branches are. So microfinance, rural banks, non-banks, do a lot of things. One, they extend the services, financial services, to all these other places where the banks are not accessible. Very important also, they take up the more risky parts of the business that the banks will not touch.
Okay, if you can clarify that for us.
Okay,
so how risky is that?
Let's say you're a small business and you don't have a lot of documentation, etc. You're sitting in the market, you're selling in the market, you have a small technician, you're a small air conditioning technician firm, and so on and so forth. You may not have the documentation, etc., to be able to access money from a financial institution. And they'll say, we don't know you, your business is too risky. So what truly happens is that the microfinance and other institutions who will deal with you, even as you are, and sometimes be in your on location with you, are the ones who will give you the services that the traditional banks will consider too risky, too unprofitable, too far out, and all that.
Okay.
So they do play a critical role in getting the wheels of business turning in the country.
Right. Now, that rather sounds to me like a very, broad and important role they play. However, the dangers we are seeing today is really not the entire spectrum of financial intermediation that you would like, i.e. collecting deposits and giving people loans. I think majority of the problem we are seeing today is because people have seen institutions, they have gone to make deposits with these institutions, and they want to be able to withdraw their monies back. They are not able to do that. How relevant is the microfinance institutions, again, if they're not able to do that?
But listen, I sit in the market, I'm selling tomatoes. So there's a microfinance institution who has a susu collector who comes to take my daily savings, and I give the susu collector 5 cedis a day, 2 cedis a day, whatever makes sense. But that is my saving. And if I can't get it back, I have a problem. So what? So no. Let's be clear. These institutions play a valuable role at the bottom of the pyramid. Listen, some of these banks we're talking about, that fantastic branch edifice is too imposing, too frightening. Some of the people won't even dare walk into that branch. And if they did, the security man at the gate will say, what are you looking for? So let's be clear. These institutions have a role to play. And if they follow and you see what you have is a crisis of confidence in the whole sector. From as big a bank as UT, as big a bank as Unibank, all the way to the small institutions, everybody's wondering, is my money safe?
Yeah,
and if the bigger institutions can go down, what about these small institutions that have taken my money?
But Mr. Jackson, before we arrived at this point where, some of the banks now have questions to answer as we're currently following the regulator, appear to be doing some cleansing, we always had, these sort of scams around microfinance institutions and the non-banking financial institutions, if I can call them that, from rural banks and what have you. And so their problem, in my view, looks a bit more peculiar. Yes, I understand the systemic challenge, but they have been, for the want of a better phrase, screwing up consumers of financial services for a very long time. And we are going to be speaking to, I understand we'll be joined by Collins Amponsa-Mensah. He is the president for the Ghana Microfinance Institutions Network, CAMFIN. And I want to put these questions to him. So we're acknowledging that he's equally paying attention to the conversation sorry, as it evolves. But before we go to him, just on the issue I've just mentioned, I hope my producer can just put up some of the scandals and cases we have seen in the microfinance industry, which some would argue predate the current problem we have. Mr. Jackson, I'm sure you heard of things like DKM, for example. The woes of DKM is not connected directly to the conversation we're having today around our commercial banks and the problems they have. We saw US Tilapia, for example, where somebody shows up, he looked like the smartest whiz kid in town, you know, put all sorts of vehicles together, mobilized deposits. One day, shop was closed, it's gone. I'm sure in your time in the 90s, you probably may have equally heard of like Piram, for instance, which equally exploited a lot of people. So, as a consumer of financial services who may not necessarily be able to reach out to a bank, and Bank of Ghana has made provisions for the third leg of the industry where the regulations have been stepped down a bit, things around KYC has been stepped down a bit, and I can engage and give them deposits. If they take my deposits and I can't get it back, do we still blame the current system as it is? Or somebody is just exploiting us for no reason?
Listen, just the simple risky nature of the area in which microfinance institutions operate means that there will be scams and there will be pyramid schemes. The one we loved was they were so confident of the pyramid scheme that they called it Pyram, and so on and so forth. It also means that there are so many of them and there is a serious lack of capacity on the part of the central bank to regulate even the ones that are registered. So scams will happen. But what you find happening now is this. This area of microfinance has already been fraught with trouble and scams. But now, the feeling was always that if I want to be safe, I go to the bigger boys. Now, what is happening in the market is that the bigger boys are even proving to be unsafe. So people are even twice as scared of the smaller microfinance institutions. That's the truth. You just heard the guy says, I don't trust the microfinance and I deal, and he mentioned the name of one of the bigger banks. Now, look at this guy now hearing that that big bank that he thought was safe is not safe anymore. So he's saying, if this is what happens to the big banks, I dread to think of what will happen to my microfinance institution. And so maybe I'm better off keeping my money under my bed or keeping my money in a Milo tin and digging the ground and stuffing it there. But that's the truth. There is a serious crisis of confidence across all institutions in the financial sector. Listen, and it's there was an article yesterday on an online platform, a very credible online platform, with pictures of institutions that are Ghanaian having an increased demand for funds. People are pulling out their money, almost turning into a run on the institutions.
Mr. Jackson,
this is because there is a crisis.
There's a crisis. We acknowledge the crisis. If you're watching, State of Affairs is brought to you by Cowbell Gold and is also brought to you by Go Energy Drink. And these are institutions that are supporting the conversation we're having today. Now, let me go and speak with the person who sits on the operations of these microfinance institutions in this country. They have an association, so clearly somebody would have to be answering some of these very difficult and critical questions. Collins Amponsa-Mensah is the president of the Ghana Microfinance Institutions Network, GAMFIN. Collins, good evening, and thank you for sharing your insights with us. Before you take any questions, my producers, I would love if we can run viewers through some of the scandals that have occurred in the last couple of months. They'll be putting up those slides for you to see briefly, but it starts from the mid-90s, and off the back of that, we will be having a conversation with the president of GAMFIN. And so one very first scandal you saw was a Piram scandal, which I just touched on, which occurred in the 90s. The company's name was Piram, and somehow the scheme suffered, a disastrous collapse and threw many people into a financial distress. Now, the phenomenon didn't disappear. And it continued, and so beyond Piram, you have seen other, institutions that have equally come up, and they have also created much more complicated problems for us. And so you have thousands of unsuspecting clients who have seen their either life savings and investments disappear. There was a conversation around Alpha Capital as well, which was a limited liability company registered properly with the Registrar General's Department. Now, customers for that particular institution complained of being unable to withdraw their deposits. Only last year in 2017, the company closed down due to the lack of funds in the same year. Now, beyond Alpha Capital, you equally saw other institutions. I don't know if we can take the next slide. You saw DKM as well, which founded by another young man who, appeared to be some financial whiz kid, and somewhere in the Brong-Ahafo region. This was by 2015. The institution was almost in crisis. Its net liability standing at about 21 million cedis, and eventually the Bank of Ghana had to step in, and its license was revoked in 2016. So the events keep unfolding, and as we hear today, there are some very horrifying stories of some people who have, made savings for their lifetime and have deposited these with some institutions, and the difficulty in being able to retrieve these monies. We understand some of them are even struggling with healthcare, for example, and they are unable to do that. Goddess Lab was also next, and it also was closed by Bank of Ghana. So it appears these institutions get registered with the Registrar General's Department. They start business. The business models are horrible to unsuspecting consumers. And then somehow, licenses get withdrawn. We don't know what happens to depositors, etc. And so, Collins, we understand that these are challenges that have bedeviled Ghanaians who have been procuring the services of microfinance institutions. First of all, what do you as an association make of the current developments?
Thank you very much, my brother, and good evening to your viewers. Interestingly, the information you put up, the microfinance crisis, out of the number of the institutions that you put up there, I think it's only DKM that can be classified as a microfinance institution, a tier 2 microfinance institution. Goddess Love wasn't a registered institution. Alpha Capital was in a different form, the same as Piram. And so sometimes I think we confuse the issues. I've listened to Mr. Joe Jackson, and I think he's made a very good point. The role of microfinance is to support financial intermediation at the lower level of the tiering structure that Bank of Ghana has. And the challenge has been that the institutions, or most of them, started when they were not even licensed. And then the need for them to be licensed came through Bank of Ghana. That is why we have the regulation for microfinance institutions. There existed a number of the institutions that were not legal, although they were in operation. Like the tilapia thing you mentioned, these were all not licensed institutions. But as a country, we have confused every operation that is non-banking to be microfinance, and that is where the challenge is. As a network, we will admit that some of our member institutions have not been too responsible with the way they've handled their operations. And as an association, we've worked with Bank of Ghana to report institutions that we find not working within the rules or playing within the rules. And on our own capacity, we've been going around the country to identify institutions that have not been licensed and then making those information available to Bank of Ghana. We will have to look at the role that the microfinance institutions are playing. For instance, I watched the interview that you put up there, and it was like everybody interviewed just don't want to have anything to do with microfinance. For me, that is not the picture. Because there are also a number of individuals and enterprises, SMEs, who will come out boldly to say that they have benefited so much from microfinance institutions, microcredit institutions, tier 2 institutions, and all that. So we have to look at the total picture and so that we can make very informed decisions when it comes to this issue. Else we always present one side of the situation, and then we will use that to conclude that microfinance has become something that people don't even want to hear about. When you look at mobilization of small savings, we have the Ghana Association of Susu Collectors scattered all over the country, bringing in pens and CDs that normally wouldn't have gotten to the main banking stream. They are doing a lot. We have thousands of depositors that our member institutions are facilitating to save. And with a number of institutions and individuals that we have as our members, we can say that over 90% or more are really doing a good job. As I said, there's been few of them that have been recalcitrant, and those ones, as our responsibility, we have reported to Bank of Ghana. And so when we are reporting the situation, let's look at both sides. So that we don't skew the argument to the fact that microfinance has lost the trust and the confidence of the people, and that people are now ready to even put their savings in their homes and all that. For me, that is not the picture.
But Collins, if you permit me, so you clearly indicate that there are some institutions that are not registered but are running, if you like, some sort of financial intermediation services for consumers of financial services in this country. Your network goes around, identifies these institutions, and notifies the Bank of Ghana. You equally indicate that there are some of your members that have become recalcitrant to the point where you hold them accountable and equally communicate to the Bank of Ghana. What you are effectively doing is dealing with the regulator of the industry, but these are individuals who are just consumers of the service. And so if they don't see and they can't tell who is right and who is not, eventually, to the extent that the consumer only interprets deposit and withdrawal, they are going to brand all of you as one. And as we speak today, there are some institutions you may not necessarily classify as microfinance. Some are capital firms, some are normal investment houses who are equally playing in the market you're playing in, and they are unable to pay people their deposits back. That is the fundamental question. And so, to that extent, you see as a risk that needs to be fixed. How do you do that? How do you deal with that risk?
Well, we see that risk every day, and I think that if we have to deal with this situation, it should be a collective effort. Bank of Ghana cannot do it all alone. The associations and the networks cannot do it all alone because it's about education. For instance, we see institutions that are not legal operating within our communities. It should be the responsibility of everyone as a Ghanaian to be able to question whether that institution is regulated or not. If they are not regulated, then the right report will have to be sent to either the Bank of Ghana or to the network or to the association, because Bank of Ghana or the associations or the network cannot be everywhere in this country. I've always said that institutions and individuals operate within jurisdiction. And so if we even will mandate the district assemblies, the municipal assemblies, the metropolitan assemblies, who collect operating licenses from these institutions, what do they check first before they issue them with operating license? The first thing is to check whether they are licensed by the Bank of Ghana. But you go to institutions that are not licensed by Bank of Ghana, but then they have been given operating license to operate. They have been registered at the Registered General Department to operate. we need to synchronize our laws so that if someone is operating and we know that it's in a regulated area or field, and they will need to acquire a license first, one agency or government institution will not go ahead to give the person an operating license to operate until that institution has been able to acquire all the needed documents and approvals and the license before they are allowed to operate within a jurisdiction. Again, we are talking about pyramid. People will take their money and take it to some people, institutions that are not licensed, not because they don't know. They are motivated by the interest that they get. In that case, what do? All that we can do is to educate. And the media can help all of us in this form of education. I've said this thing before. You see institutions that are not licensed, but they are able to advertise in the media. The interest of the media should be whether this institution is registered first before they can allow them to advertise. But this is not the case as we're talking. You see institutions advertising in national dailies, advertising in FM stations, advertising on television, and they have not been licensed. So for me, it's a collective responsibility. We shouldn't push responsibilities and blames on a few, but we should see it as a national crisis and find a solution to fix this problem and fix it once and for all.
Well, Mr. Collins, my final question to you. So you indicate that, scouting around and finding these institutions that, if you like, are flouting the law, don't have licenses to operate the business of deposit collection and the granting of loans should be a collective responsibility. You've talked about what the regulator needs to do. If I am uneducated and I live in a rural community and I see a shop set up, one-man shop, and it says it's a microfinance institution, and it starts collecting deposits from me in that village, how do I verify, how do I know that that institution, first of all, has been licensed to do the business it's doing, two, has got capability to provide me the sort of service that it claims to be providing? How do I know that if I'm living in the village or some rural area that is on the outskirts of Accra?
Thank you very much. Sometimes we assume that when people are in the rural areas, it means they cannot read or write. They can read or write. Some can do that. So for me, if an institution comes to your community and it's a rural area, it will still be in a particular town. That town has a chief. So it should be the responsibility of the local leadership to ensure that the institution that is coming to operate in their jurisdiction has the approval to do so. But usually these things happen, and even the chiefs and the elders in that community will not even bother to check. Their interest will only be that there is a bank that has come to our community, and so because of that we have a bank. My recommendation has always been this. If you are a chief or a leader of a community and an institution opens up in your community, it's your responsibility to go and check or invite them to give you proof of their legal form. If it's a microfinance institution, they will show you the license, approval license of Bank of Ghana, which they are supposed to display in the banking hall. They necessarily have to join an association, which is a mandate, and then you have to request also for that. At least that gives you comfort. That doesn't mean that institution will not maybe do the wrong thing, but at least it gives you some comfort that if you're looking for this institution tomorrow and they are not there, you know where to go. But if we don't do this, and then we don't educate our people to know that, look, this institution we are dealing with is not licensed. It's an illegal institution. And so you do that at your own risk. Then we open up the space for exploitation. And people will jump from one community to another, presenting institutional forms that do not exist, collecting the deposits of innocent people, and then running away with it. Again, I think that we should not be motivated too much by what we will gain, but the security of our deposits. The last point that I want to say is this. We are always talking about depositors as if they are the only vulnerable. I tell you, Mr. Jackson sitting there will tell you that even those who borrow from us to complete the financial mediation role sometimes can also be very irresponsible. Borrowers come, take money, you do all the due diligence, and they fail to pay. Sometimes you take people to court, and it will take you 2 or 3 years for one case to be resolved. And if these things happen,
Mr. Collins,
borrower is empowered,
Mr. Mensah,
and so they can always take money and not pay. Once people take money and they are not paying, it affects the deposits of the depositor. That is what we need to understand.
Mr. Mensah, I would want to thank you very much for these submissions and contributions. We are running out of time, and so we want to thank you so much for sharing these insights with us.
Thank you very much, my brother.
And so that was Mr. Collins Amponsa Mensah, who is the president of the Association of Microfinance Institutions, GAMFIN, here in Ghana. The program is State of Affairs, brought to you by Cowbell Gold and Go On Energy Drink, and they have been supporting us to bring you this particular conversation. My name is Patrick Stevenson. We'll take a break here. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation.
Madam, I want Prosecure Herbal Tea. What is this? I said I want Prosecure Herbal Tea, not capsule.
This also be for urinary problem. Okay, please don't go. I have some. Supplement to improve urine flow.
Do not let anyone deceive you. There's nothing like Prosecure capsule. It is Prosecure Herbal Tea. Just boil it and drink it. That's all.
Prostacure from Medimosis Prostate Center is a well-formulated food supplement acclaimed worldwide to improve urine flow. Now available at all pharmacies, filling station shops, and shopping centers nationwide. Contact the Tema, Accra, and Kumasi branches with the numbers on your screen. Visit our new ultra-modern diagnostic center at Twazako Valley opposite the Westgate.
Prostacure food supplement improves urine flow in men.
It's where I belong, where I feel strong. Listen, sweet sense of the streets and the avenue. Nothing out there is even comparable. I feel alive every time when I'm home, cause being with my brothers refreshes my soul.
No matter how far we travel or how famous we become, we will always be Ghanaian. Star Beer.
This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Nivea Natural Fairness Body Lotion is making women glow with confidence. With a trusted, innovative formula containing unique berry extracts and UV protection to care for and restore the skin's natural, healthy glow. Reveal your beautiful, glowing skin with Natural Fairness Body Lotion from Nivea.
Akoto loves his family. He works hard to take care of them. So Ifya, his young daughter, can become the doctor she's always dreamt of. And Akosia, his lovely wife, can open the nursery school she talks about all the time. He can see a happy, relaxed retirement in the years to come. But life can get in the way of our dreams. Unable to work, how do their dreams come to pass? Don't let life's tragedies get in the way of your family's dreams. Get a life insurance policy from Star Life today. Star Life, your solid partner for life.
mfie dunwoche ense sa pemfo num e wo drinking spots bia
and don't go bitters edemufua. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Extraordinary could be right there in front of you without you even knowing it. It's something unique, rich and rewarding, full of character. A bold expression of taste. Experience more taste. Guinness, made of more.
Drink responsibly. Not for sale to persons under 18 years of age. Not recommended for pregnant women.
Madina, Madam, Aula, all road.
Be your own DJ with MTN Music Plus. Download and install the MTN Music Plus app from Google Play Store and stream your customized playlist anytime, anywhere. MTN Music Plus. Just press play.
K20, K20, in the bar or in the party. K20, K20, in the funeral or any other gathering. The burning sensation I touch them up. K20 whiskey, who track a club who do my K20 whiskey. What I started to Batulu, K20 whiskey, K20 whiskey. Hey, yeah, K20. A born there for fofo. This my papa and no. Opa makes it, Opa no mess anything they go, yeah. K20, K20, in the bar, or in the party. K20, K20, in the funeral or any other gathering.
K20 whiskey, the burning sensation at the Chamape. No more yansem, one ton more biarundi in Fidwa watche, on your map painful.
Yeah, welcome back from that break. The program is State of Affairs here on GH1 Television. My name is Patrick Stevenson, and I'm sitting in for your regular host, Nana Abba Anamwa. And the program is brought to you by Cowbell Gold, Energy for Winners. They are the producers of fortified choco milk drink, which is made from Ghana's finest cocoa, rich malt, and perfect amount of milk and sugar. So some very exciting blend. They're all locally produced and full of proteins and vitamins. Indeed, Energy for Winners. Program is also supported by Go On Energy Drink, and that's just another proudly Ghanaian made product from Trillium Industrial Company Limited. And this is because the product, as we understand, contains key ingredients like ethanol, which helps in improving blood circulation and improves weight loss. It contains products like ginseng, vitamin B6, B12, sodium, and other minerals that are all good for your body. However, there's a caution. Excessive drinking can be detrimental to your health and is also not recommended for children or persons under 18 years. If you're a lactating mother as well, the product is not recommended for you. And if you're also sensitive to caffeine, because there's a bit of caffeine in there, you also want to drink it cautiously or stay away from it. Indeed, Go On Energy Drink has no limit in terms of giving you the energy you need to go through the course of the day. Mr. Jackson, yes. So I've had to do some selling, but I'm coming back to you now. We've just spoken to Gamfin, and they appear to be giving some answers. I'm sure my viewers, if you're watching, you are satisfied, you're not satisfied, but we are trying to get some clarity. So he says there are some institutions that play in the space, not registered. They see them, they report to the Bank of Ghana. We equally know that the Bank of Ghana periodically will issue statements about institutions that are in its good books. So this goes beyond just obtaining a license. So I can register with the Registrar General's Department. I could have a license, but I may not be having a sound business operations, which means that if people want to come and get their deposits, they can get that. And I'm sure my viewers, you're understanding exactly how the conversation is evolving. So Mr. Jackson, my question to you, if this information gets to Bank of Ghana, how do we, the consumers of financial services, know that, yes, I'm doing business with the guy, but the guy can go bankrupt?
At this moment, there's no way you're told.
So effectively, the people are in trouble. The consumers of financial services are in trouble.
You're in trouble. You're in trouble. You're only told when the license is yanked. Or you're only told when the central bank comes out to say this institution is not licensed.
But that is not healthy. That does not help anyone, because as you speak, there's a young man who's been trying to get his money from one of these institutions for an emergency health condition that he needs, money for, and he can't seem to get it.
Good luck to the young man. He's going to have a tough time. When the institutions cannot give you your money on day 1 or day 2, you know you have a problem. And you do. And let's not talk as if the crisis of confidence that we have in this industry was just happened. It's been happening for a long time. All that has happened is in the recent days, the central bank has had a little bit more spine, a little bit more backbone to go after those in the banking sector that it deemed insolvent. Now, this has obviously opened up a can of worms. And this has sent jitters down the spine of a lot of institutions. And people are worried about their deposits and their investments. And they should be worried. Some of these institutions are piss poor in management. Some of these institutions are outright scammers. They're good ones. But unfortunately, all of us, good or bad, are being tarred with the same brush.
How do the good ones navigate? I mean, because from listening to Collins there, he was making it sound as though, yes, there are bad institutions. You've equally highlighted that there are good ones. And if people don't pay back loans, for example, then the institutions begin to struggle to pay deposits. My question to you, how do you navigate that as a business that is playing in that space? How do you navigate?
Rule number 1, don't be greedy. If the interest rate they're offering you is too good to be true, it is too good to be true.
So here you're talking to the consumer of the financial service. Okay.
And I'm saying to the consumer very clearly that if today, in today's world, somebody is offering to take money off you, sometimes people are offering to take money off you at 10%, 8%. Ask yourself, what is he doing with that money that is so special, so different, that they can take money from you at that rate, use it for business, earn a profit, and pay you back? Maybe, just maybe, it's because they don't plan to pay back.
But so here you're speaking to the person that the consumer of a service that may be financially literate, right? But from the video we just shown viewers, there is every possibility that the person probably may not even know what the industry should be paying, for example, so they can benchmark.
No,
they may not know.
Listen. It's very simple. You are in the market, right? Any rate that seems outlandish, that you cannot get from your work you are doing, it's not right. So how come when you do your business, right, for every 100 cedis, you estimate you are making 5 cedis? And yet somebody comes to tell you that, give me your 100 cedis and I'll get you 10 cedis, and you don't ask any questions. You are being greedy.
That's an interesting way of putting it, Mr. Jackson. But I'll take another break here. So Mr. Jackson says you should not be greedy. When we come back, we'll continue with. He says ask questions, but we'll come back with some more tidbits. When we take this break, we'll be right back with the rest of the answers that Mr. Jackson will have for you who are consumers of financial services.
This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Extraordinary could be right there in front of you without you even knowing it. It's It's something unique, rich and rewarding, full of character. A bold expression of taste. Experience more taste. Guinness, made of more.
Drink responsibly. Not for sale to persons under 18 years of age. Not recommended for pregnant women.
In a world of information overload, fake news, propaganda, and spin, we need discerning professionals of the highest caliber to help us make sense of it all. Wisconsin International University College, Ghana is training the next generation of media, advertising, public relations, and communication experts. The School of Communication Studies is affiliated to the University of Cape Coast and fully accredited by the National Accreditation Board. So if you dream of building a career in print, radio, or online journalism, PR, advertising, or corporate communication, choose Wisconsin. Forms are available online and at our campuses in North Legon, Agboba Road, or on the premises of St. Paul's Lutheran School Complex, Kanda, near GBC. For more information, call or WhatsApp 0544-853-383. Wisconsin University, leaders in international education.
Nivea Natural Fairness Body Lotion is making women glow with confidence. With a trusted, innovative formula containing unique berry extracts and UV protection to care for and restore the skin's natural, healthy glow. Reveal your beautiful, glowing skin with Natural Fairness Body Lotion from Nivea.
Many power and fear doom watching, and says up in for noon, and what drinking spots be
and don't go bitters, a demufua.
You have 1 minute remaining.
Hello, Abba, I love you too much. But the way I love you, I don't want to see me fair. I'll give you all of me. Your mommy, you know they like me. If I get money, I can't have the camera. You say, where do you want me to go? You
look, young man, this is not about, this is her mother.
The number you have dialed does not exist.
Some things shouldn't be rushed. That's why there's so much talk, texting, and browsing on Ghana's #1 network. Whatever your need, MTN has a value offer for you. Just dial the MTN value code *505# to enjoy the most amazing mobile experience everywhere you go.
Akoto loves his family. He works hard to take care of them. So Ifya, his young daughter, can become the doctor she's always dreamt of. And Akosia, his lovely wife, can open the nursery school she talks about all the time. He can see a happy, relaxed retirement in the years to come. But life can get in the way of our dreams. Unable to work, how do their dreams come to pass? Don't let life's tragedies get in the way of your family's dreams. Get a life insurance policy from Star Life today. Star Life, your solid partner for life.
K20, in the bar or in the party. K20, in the funeral or any other gathering. The burning sensation, I touch them up. K20 whiskey. Utraka Kragu no man. K20 whiskey. What I started to Batulu, where you K20 whiskey. K20 whiskey. Hey, yeah, K20. And born there for 4. Yes, papa, and no. Opa makes it. Opa no mess anything they go. Yeah. K20, in the bar or in the party. K20, in the funeral or any other gathering.
K20 whiskey, the burning sensation at the Chamape. No more yansem, 1 ton more Biarundi in Fidwa watch on your map painful.
Now, welcome back from that break. The program is State of Affairs here on GH1 Television with me, Patrick Stevenson. A conversation has with the microfinance industry, their role in the Ghanaian economy, and we're balancing that against the emerging scams that have been unfolding. Mr. Jackson, so I'm going to come back to you. You've advised consumers of financial services what to do, right? You said we shouldn't be greedy, bluntly put. So if it's too good to be true, it's probably because they're not going to pay back. What counsel do you have for the people who are providing the service?
Same thing. You also don't be greedy. Don't make too risky loans. Even though by your very nature, you're supposed to work in the riskier part of the business. The biggest risk we have in this country in terms of people paying back is the interest rate we charge.
Okay.
Right. So if both parties stop being greedy, clients are greedy, the institutions are greedy, we will all start to have sense reign in the industry.
Now, the Bank of Ghana has modeled the idea of deposit insurance, and we know this kicked in somewhere 2016. So eventually, if developments like this happen, there's some cushion of protection for the institutions that are involved. And you're saying that it's a good thing.
To some extent, yes, but bear in mind, deposit insurance won't cover all your deposits.
Okay.
If an institution goes under, it will cover up to a certain percentage.
Okay. But at least that provides some cushion.
Safety net.
What kind of institutions are covered? Just so my viewers know who to deal with.
It will be the commercial banks,
okay,
the savings and loans, and the microfinance banks.
Same institutions. If we are to take off from what Collins was saying, these will only be those that are registered.
Yes.
But how do we know those that are not registered? Or how do we know those that are registered and are in continual good books of the regulator?
There's something very important when you're dealing with an institution as to see the registration. If it's from Bank of Ghana, that's good. It should be from Bank of Ghana, and it should be valid. If you are not well lettered, find somebody who's lettered to check it out for you.
So it's one thing for the institution to be licensed by Bank of Ghana. It's another thing for that license to be renewed annually. Is there an annual renewal of the license?
To some extent, yes, because the Bank of Ghana, once you are licensed, if you don't meet up to the standards, it will publish those who don't meet up to the standards.
Okay, so what Mr. Jackson is telling you effectively is that before you do business with any microfinance institution or any institution for that matter, check, and check again. Make sure you know that institution, first of all, has a license. If it doesn't, well, you advise yourself accordingly. If you can't read and write, ask somebody to check that for you, because the Bank of Ghana periodically will publish that. The licenses equally get renewed almost every year, because you can have one that is good, but may somewhere along the line start doing funny business, and the Bank of Ghana will equally publish that as we speak. There's a list that was published at the end of August 2018. So you want to appraise yourself of that and make sure that you don't do bad business and fall foul of the law, because as we speak, deposit insurance is there, but it doesn't cover everybody, and it doesn't cover all the deposits. Mr. Joe Jackson, these are very exciting insights you have given us, and I'm sure all of this maybe will help us push the conversation forward and avoid subsequent catastrophes like what we currently have on our hands. We want to thank you very much for these insights.
Thank you too. It was good being here. And remember the rule, don't
be greedy. Well, don't be greedy from Mr. Jackson. He is the Chief Operations Officer for Dalex Finance, and he says we shouldn't be greedy. I'm sure you have learned a lot. You have seen the intricacies of the problem we have on our hands, and so you duly execute and prosecute your business transactions in the microfinance industry and indeed the financial industry accordingly. The program has been State of Affairs. My name is Patrick Stevenson. I sat in for your regular host, Nana Abba Anamwa. Thank you for watching.
State of Affairs, brought to you by Cowbell Gold and everywhere you go, MTN. Go on energy drink, no limits.
Ultimate 106.9 FM presents another fun edition of Ultimate Car Wash. It's a meet, greet, and have fun event to wash your car free of charge for you. Be pampered by your favorite radio presenters and an opportunity to network and